Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Virgins and the Village, a Sex and the City watch-along podcast with two registered virgins.
My name is Alex Pittner, and I'm here for that sex.
And my name's Hayden Hartrick. I'm here for the city. Today we're going to be discussing Season 1, Episode 3, Bay of Married Pigs. Alex, why don't you tell everybody at home what happened in this episode?
Alrighty, everybody. As Hayden said, this is Season 1, Episode 3, The Bay of Married Pigs. This episode was written by Michael Patrick King, which I'll get into it after the summary, but this is the beginning of his dominance over this franchise. Alright, and directed by Nicole Holofcener.
I'm sure you're saying that. I'm sure you are just butchering it.
Holofcener. In this episode, alright, we begin with Carrie visiting her married friends. The husband, named Peter, shows Carrie his penis. Carrie tells the husband's wife Patience, and Carrie is forced to leave. Later, Carrie has a conversation with the gals about married and single people and how married people treat single people differently. Miranda gets set up by her coworker with a woman. Miranda tells her coworker that she's not gay, but later, her and the person she was set up with make an epic double play in baseball, which causes them to be invited to dinner at the big boss's house. So they pretend to be a couple to go to dinner with the big boy boss band boy. Anyway, Carrie gets set up with this guy named Sean, and they date for a bit, and eventually they're invited to this housewarming party for Sean. Sean is like baby crazy and wants to get married really bad, so Carrie breaks up with him. Samantha and Charlotte also went to this party, and Samantha gets very drunk and later has sex with the doorman at Charlotte's apartment in Charlotte's apartment. The episode ends with Charlotte going on a date with Sean and ending it in 5 minutes. That was this episode.
A very, very good episode. I really enjoyed this
Hayden,
one.
I want to know, how are you feeling about Sex and the City as of right now?
Okay. I think if every episode is I mean, obviously, you know, there's still some unaddressed issues that haven't come up that got sprung in season or in episode 1, you know, like the Samantha and Samantha Charlotte thing, which we thought was going to come up, which didn't.
I guess it's just not, yeah.
But I mean, it's a lot more. It's a product of its time. It's a lot more episodic. I am truly enjoying it. I'm really kind of starting to fall in love with these characters. It's a fun show, even though, you know, certain characters. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I do want to say before we go in, I've been doing a lot of thinking about Skipper, right? Because I have so much conflict in my heart, because he does not age well, but something in me wants to like him, and I apologize for that part of my being.
I want to say I fucking love this show.
Yeah.
This episode made me obsessed. Like, this episode was so good to me. The comedy fucking landed. The characters were lovable. Even though I feel like we didn't get enough Charlotte, she had a moment.
Charlotte was in this episode.
She was in the episode. Samantha was dude, Miranda.
I wrote down.
Oh my gosh.
I think this episode made Miranda my favorite character.
I wrote down in here while we were watching. I wrote down, I think Miranda's my favorite character. Then the baseball scene happened, and I was like, Miranda's my favorite character.
And then the elevator scene happened. And
oh my gosh. Okay.
In that elevator scene, Miranda and the other woman that she's been faking a lesbian relationship with are going down in the elevator, and her boss, you know, basically just was like, hey, since you're not in a couple, you're not going to be like in this. And she's like desperate for like that approval and like for progressing in her boss. So she just like leans over and kisses the woman.
Yeah. Later, while they're alone together on the elevator, it's silent. And then she leans over and kisses the woman.
And goes, yep, still straight.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No, what happened is she kissed, and then she pulled away, and like the girl she was with was like not digging it. and like Miranda like chewed on that for a bit and was like, "Yup." Was like I thought
Yep.
she just
She
went,
said, no,
"Yup."
yep.
Yup.
Still straight.
I didn't realize she said still straight. I don't like that moment anymore.
Because the other woman said, yeah, you're definitely straight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, that's not as funny. I thought it's way more relatable to me to just be like to fuck up and then be like, yep, because that happens to me all the time. I still love Miranda though.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to talk about, and something that makes me more excited than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Patrick King wrote this episode.
Yeah.
Michael Patrick King is the highest decorated Sex and the City writer.
Okay.
Michael Patrick King wrote more episodes than anybody else by like double. Like I think the closest person wrote 16 episodes.
And that would be Darren Star, right?
No, Darren Star did not write a lot. Well, he wrote a decent amount. I think he wrote 14. He was in 4th place, but Michael Patrick King wrote 35.
That is over half, correct?
30. No, see, I thought it was 65, but it turns out it's like 93.
Oh.
But Michael Patrick King wrote 35 episodes, directed, I think, 10 episodes?
Wow.
Maybe just 8, and also wrote both movies.
Wow.
So if every episode by Michael Patrick King is as good as that episode, this show is a fucking guaranteed Hall of Fame for Alex Pittner's
Oh
TV.
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. So I mean that gives me really good hope because like the movies, I was interested when we brought up the fact that there are movies for this television show because that's always a little bit weird, you know. TV movies are always just a touch, but knowing that they're written by him gives me a lot of hope because you know if this is setting a precedent for the future episodes, I think we got gold on our hands.
Yeah. So Hayden, let's go ahead and deep dive into this episode.
I actually have something that starts at the very beginning of the episode.
Okay.
Carrie is talking about how living in New York is great because you get to leave New York, and she leaves her apartment and she doesn't lock the door. Did you notice that?
No, I did
she goes out of her apartment, shuts the door, and then just walks away in New York City in an apartment complex, which is like, yeah, maybe like what this is like late 90s, but if you're like late 90s, you still locked your door, right? This isn't like the 60s.
When I leave my fucking room, I lock my door.
Yeah.
I did not notice that.
I just thought it was a funny little thing.
So what I noticed is that when Carrie goes to dinner, she's at the table with the married couple, Patience and Peter. Peter's resting face, looks like he is methodically stalking his prey. Like from the moment you saw, like I don't know what was going on in that actor's head to like play it like he was going to stab her under the table. But he did turn out to be an evil guy still.
Yeah, that whole moment is like still like it never gets fully explained in the episode, and it's like I'm still reeling over like the confusion of like what he thought was gonna happen, right?
Yeah. So far, Alex Pittner's. We're gonna keep a running list of people Alex wants the death penalty to happen to in this show, and so far we have Barkley from episode 2.
Yeah.
And Peter from episode 3 because they're both sex criminals. I wrote down, I really hope this isn't a show about sex crimes. Which it's not, it seemed, for the rest of the episode. That episode was so funny. Like
I think it's still like you know, it obviously it presents these characters as the bad guy, which I was talking to a friend of ours about another show that's in the similar vein and how they had a sex crime character end up becoming a main character, and I think Sex and the City is not going to do that, which is makes me happy, right?
Yeah.
Because you know,
I mean, Barkley didn't get what was due.
Yeah. But Barkley's not coming back.
Yeah. Well, I'm writing an episode and Barkley's coming back, and let me tell you right now, Barkley, I'm going to spoil the episode. He's not making it out alive.
Good.
Barkley's going to die in the first 2 minutes of the episode that I'm writing, and it's going to be painful for him.
Good.
Also, for the record, There in some, like, I think it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine maybe, that they have this thing where, like, they keep joking that, like, there's a guy who's really into Sex and the City, and he talks about how the city of New York is like a character essentially, and I'm starting to get it with because they do these interviews with just random people in New York every episode, and it helps bring the city to life. I kind of like it.
It feels a lot more like because like all of they're not interviewing the same people over and over. You know,
exactly.
it's new people every time, and yeah, I think it does help bring the city to life. You know.
Yeah.
Because you know the two main characters are sex and city.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I did say, speaking of the interviews, I feel so bad for that Super Bowl guy.
Oh my gosh.
There's the character in there that's saying in an interview, and he's like, "Yeah, my friend got married." Because the whole episode is about the dynamics between married couples and single people.
Yeah.
Which he's like, yeah, my friend and I used to do everything together, but then he married a woman that doesn't like me, and now like I only see him on Super Bowl Sundays, which is just the saddest story because I know how true that is, right? Like I don't know from personal experience, but I know that like.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like how recently I got married, and I only see you on, you know,
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, little peek inside the screen. We're recording this. We record all our episodes during Super Bowl Sunday. So for the next year, these are all backlogged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I am currently sitting in my room in the dark with photos of Alex all across my wall, crying as I edit these episodes.
Yeah, my wife hates you, by the way.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Out there, but my wife hates you.
Because I feel like if your wife doesn't like your best friend, there's like.
Well, I mean, in her defense, you took a shit in my kitchen. You took a shit in my kitchen, Hayden.
Look, okay.
Are you going to talk about how you took a shit in my kitchen?
I didn't want to talk about how I took a shit in your kitchen.
So I'm going to bring it up on the podcast. I think it's important. I think we haven't talked about it enough. You took a shit in my kitchen. Would you like to explain yourself? Because I've been putting it off for a while. I've been wanting to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about it. All right.
Okay.
I took a shit in your kitchen because your kid asked me to.
Little Michael Patrick Queen asked you to?
Yeah. He thought it would be funny, and I wanted to make your kid happy, all right? So, fuck me, I guess, right? This is a show about two registered virgins, by the way.
I don't know, kids. I think it should be illegal for me to have kids.
Why's that? We're not talking about the episode.
How sad do we want to get on the podcast?
I think we should keep talking about the episode.
No, I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. I think it should be illegal for me to reproduce. You want to gloss over that? What are you, my fucking therapist?
No, because if I was a therapist, I would want to talk about that.
My therapist is they kind of like to gloss over that. They mainly talk about their problems, actually, which is kind of weird. Come to think of it, actually, I see like 20 different therapists, and they all talk to me about their problems in my office, which is
on your long couch.
Yeah, at my practice.
And you get like a check in the mail every month too.
Yeah, they give me bank, they give me cash, they give me scrimp, they give me scratch. Yeah.
And I took a shit in your kitchen.
You took a shit in my kitchen. So Carrie, right? That intro, by the way, I can't decide if I hate the intro or not.
Uh-huh.
Cause like
I like the music.
I wrote down that the music makes me feel like I'm about to watch a murder mystery party. Like it's so enticing. Yeah, dude.
I don't get why she's in a ballerina costume.
No, I don't get why it's just her. There are other characters.
I know.
Let me see Miranda in the intro.
Well, they're not going to put Carrie in the intro, obviously, because they hate Carrie and they don't want to put her in the
Carrie
episodes.
is the intro.
No.
What about Charlotte?
Charlotte.
Two characters that begins with C. Bad move. Bad. They should have called her. No, that's still a C. Daniel. They should have called her
They
Daniel.
should have called her
They
Daniel.
should have called her Daniel.
They should have called her Daniel.
What's... Oh, hold me closer, tiny Daniel.
Headlights.
I whacked in on Hayden fingering himself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What?
That's not true. That's not true. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. So there was a part in this episode where Carrie is hanging out with her friend who I think their name is Baker, which is unfortunate because I promised I'd learn their name by this episode.
And you didn't. You had a whole week.
Yeah, speaking of therapy, I kind of have a problem where I will break my promises.
This episode is real different than our last two, huh?
I'm kind of unstable. Yeah.
Like that magic set.
Hey! What the fuck is JoJo's Part 5?
Okay, we're not at the Virgin segment.
Yeah,
yet.
okay,
We
I'm
still
sorry.
got to talk about
Yeah.
the actual the episode because that's what people are here for.
So there's a part where Carrie and her friend, I think Baker, run into a gay couple, and one of them looks like Seth Green is undercover. Like, for a second, I was like, what are you trying to pull, Mr. Green? So, that's all I have to bring to the table for this. I had one note.
I wrote down about that the conversation they have is this gay couple that Carrie meets up, and she knew one of them, and she was like, oh, hi, how are you? And he's like, oh, you haven't seen me since I was straight, which I thought was a really funny line.
That was a funny line.
I really liked that line. And then they just like ask her to be the surrogate mother to their child.
Yes.
Which is a lot for New York City streets, right?
Yeah. For running into somebody on the street after not seeing them for years. So specifically, it goes down like this. They go, Carrie, are you single? And Carrie goes, yeah. And then Seth Green goes, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And then the other guy's like, yeah, Carrie, we need a top-notch egg, are his exact words.
It was the worst. It was just the worst. Like, could you imagine, like, we don't talk for 10 years, right? Like, after this, we don't talk for 10 years. Yeah. And I run into you on the streets of New York, and I'm like, hey, Alex, whoa, nice catching up with you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
You married?
No.
No, that sounds about right.
Not even a little
hey,
bit.
so I'm
I miss
impotent,
Donnie,
so
though.
will you
I
fuck
need you
my
to-
wife?
Excuse me?
I'm impotent, so will you fuck my wife?
Hayden, I mean, I would fuck your wife, but it's hard to do with all of your shit on my dick, dude. It's all over me.
Why'd you stick your shit, my dick in your shit, my shit?
I had to clean it up, asshole. I had to clean it up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, how good is Miranda's delivery, though?
Wonderful.
It's so good.
Real quick, little challenge for everybody there. We lost my computer got filled up, and we had to re-record a segment of this episode. So if you can figure out where that cut is, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be invisible, I will send you my love in
Hayden,
a package.
you backed out. Earlier you said you were going to Venmo them $5.
Okay, well, you gave me a look that said back out.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. Cards on the table. First one to find the cut, I'll Venmo $5.
Boom! I know where it is, bitch! You owe me $5! Ooh!
First non-Alex. No, but Miranda.
Oh my god.
We were just talking about Miranda's actress is absolutely wonderful at what she does.
Like, I know nothing about them as a person in real life, so I don't know if they've
said horrible
I don't
shit.
But at so I'm ignorant of that, but playing Miranda, I think they have brought a lot of life to the character, and Miranda, if you had told me in episode 1 that Miranda's going to be my favorite character of episode 3, I would have laughed in your face. I really would have.
It would have been funny.
Yeah. But now Miranda, it's not even a contest. Like, I truly thought, and I think Charlotte still has the potential to be my favorite character, but
I think the writers know what they want out of Miranda more than what they want out of Charlotte, because I feel like Charlotte's not getting a lot of screen time because maybe this is the case, maybe not, but I don't know if the writers know what to do with Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Like, she seems like such a character that I think if she gets into a lot, like, I don't like saying this because I feel like it's like it's a dumb thing, but I feel like she's a character that like is going to get a lot more screen time when she gets into a long-term relationship. And I feel like if that's the case, that's going to be really dumb because I really want to see Charlotte in her own right because
Me
I
too.
think she's such a good antithesis to the other characters.
Yeah,
she's
I
such
agree.
the opposite of all of them. And I think it's because again, the group scenes, she brings an interesting dissent to a lot of what they're talking about. Like, she
Yeah.
remains hopeful, and I just want to see more of Charlotte.
Me too.
More of Charlotte. Also, I thought it was hilarious. She shut down this guy that like, because, you know, Carrie goes and you know, it's like, oh, I'll set you up with my friend. It's this guy that really wants to get married, and Charlotte, of course, you know, really kind of longs for the relationship. And they're actually going China shopping, which apparently I think is like a big step in a relationship. And the guy is like, I like that set of China, and she breaks up with him because of that. Because
Yeah.
in the show, they're like, he was an English whatever, and she was a French, and I was like, good for you, Charlotte. Know your
Yeah.
fucking like your hard lines, right?
Yeah.
And if that's China, that's China.
He goes, I've always wanted this set. And then she looks at it and she goes, really? And then Carrie's voiceover is like, Miranda broke things off that day. Or not Miranda. Charlotte broke things off that day. I was like, yes! Because I feel like that was one of the first moments where we got some like Charlotte character building.
Yeah, we got more than just, oh, she's the nice one.
Yeah, she's the different one. And I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I wrote down a joke, but by the end of the episode, what I wrote down was
Yeah.
I wrote down, we're 10 minutes into the episode and no Mr. Big, I'm having withdrawals. But by the end of the episode,
No
I was
Mr.
like...
Big and no Skipper.
And no Skipper.
Which I think, which is why I brought him up earlier in this episode, is because I think like it made it better.
That's what I was gonna say. Was that my joke was I'm having Mr. Big withdrawals, but then by the end of the episode, I was like, less Mr. Big gives more time to focus on Miranda, Charlotte, Samantha, and Carrie. Which, yeah,
it's what the show's about.
Yes, it's what the show is about. They are
Unfortunately,
so lovable.
I mean, that's not gonna last because you know Mr. Big and Skipper are gonna come back, and Skipper's gonna say more things that probably over the course of the show I'm going to like Skipper less and less, which is unfortunate because I really want him to redeem himself in my eyes.
I feel like I'm calling. I mean, I'm
Carrie-
calling it right now.
Whoa,
Of course,
Carrie
Carrie is
Mr.
Mr. Big.
Big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
of
course,
course.
that's gonna be a plot point.
I do want to talk about a big thing I don't think we talked about yet.
A big thing.
We talked about. Well, yeah, I haven't talked about the dress yet.
Because we're breaking it down a little moment by moment. That was the next moment.
Yeah.
So, Hayden. Okay, so for just to give context, there's a part in this where they're getting ready to go to the house party. Carrie, Charlotte, and Samantha are getting ready to enter. I believe, Sean's house party.
Real quick before we go on to this,
Please.
The names keep getting mixed around in my head, and I figured out why. Because obviously we talked earlier about Charlotte and
Carrie.
Charlotte and Carrie are both C's. Miranda, Samantha both end in that sound.
They ended the yeah. That's interesting. But so they're about to go in, and they're like getting ready outside the door, and Samantha is wearing a green dress. When they enter the room, it is now a different dress that is noticeably blue.
It is noticeably blue. It is the same like style. It's that like I don't know how to talk about fashion, but it's got like the
boot cut.
Boot cut. No,
It's a boot cut dress, right?
it's like
no?
it's like two straps that you like tie around the back of your neck, and then like
Please. Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
I don't know how to describe this dress.
Just say that the torso region of the dress was different.
Yeah, the
Right?
torso.
Because the motions you were doing with your hands made me want to throw
The
up.
torso region had like over the chest. In the original dress, it was smooth, and then in the blue dress, it was like it had these thick lines.
Different
in it.
fabric design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alex stopped us, and we went back, and because he caught it with his eagle eyes, and I didn't even notice it.
But it's like noticeably a different color.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I look up these episodes to find out the writers and whatnot, I'll check out the IMDb, and the IMDb has like goofs, and usually it's like the boom mic is in the shot at this time. The dress being a different color, not in the IMDb goof.
Really?
Yeah, nowhere to be found.
That almost makes me think it's a trick of the light. But it's not, because
Right?
I would have thought it was just a trick of the light if it was just the color.
Yeah.
But the dress
the
is
fabric.
noticeably a different fabric.
It's the fabric.
So, Darren Starr, can you please answer, like, what happened?
Yeah, Michael Patrick King, we love you. Darren Starr, what the fuck is going
What the fuck?
on?
I'm not. This is not a fault of the costume person. This is your fault, Darren.
Also, for the record, same thing I said about Miranda. I don't know if Michael Patrick King has done or said horrible things. Same with Darren Starr, but I am simply saying that I liked the episode, and I'm walking on a fucking minefield, man.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
Also, there was a line in here that I was ashamed that I laughed at out loud. It wasn't like a big laugh, but it was an audible chuckle when I think it's only worthy of like a forceful exhale. Which was when they go to the dinner party, Carrie's noticing that everybody here is coupled up.
Oh.
And that's like the theme of the episode. Is and Carrie thought it was going to be a thing for singles. That's why she brought Samantha.
Yeah.
And her line is, it was Noah's Upper West Side rent-controlled arc. And I'm not going to lie, the more specific it got made me laugh.
It was a funny line.
You just said Noah's Upper West Side arc. Okay, Noah's Upper West Side rent-controlled arc. I was like, I'm here for it.
The thing is, that voiceover is really starting to they're utilizing it very well.
I agree.
Like it's consistent throughout the episode, but it never feels overbearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, so there's a moment when they're at the party.
Yeah.
And Samantha is talking to an accountant. Do you remember this?
I do remember this. I don't know where you're going with it, but I do remember this.
What I wrote down was that accountant is Skipper Prime. He looks like Skipper. He has attitude.
He has the same glasses.
Skipper. He has the same glasses.
He just has he has a different head.
His hair is black, but his hair is kind of curly. It's kind of like Skipper.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking that this guy being an accountant and married, that's what Skipper wants to be. And so I thought Skipper Prime.
That was a good joke. That was good.
I also wrote down at several points, like, this show is just actually funny. Like,
yeah,
again,
there are Tommy, the bellboy, has a line that cracked both of us up because
yes,
Tommy, this bellboy, goes upstairs, has sex with Samantha, presumably on Charlotte's couch.
Yes. So just to give a little. So what happens is Samantha gets very drunk at the party.
Yeah.
To the point where Charlotte's like, I'm gonna take Samantha home and she can crash on my couch. Right. And
good friend.
Yes, good friend. And then Charlotte goes to bed on the couch, then wakes up, still drunk, goes downstairs and brings the doorman.
Go downstairs in only her underwear covered by a black blanket or something.
I guess it was more blanket. And then she brings the doorman upstairs to have sex, right? So Charlotte wakes up because she hears a noise, and she goes out into the hall, and there's the doorman in his underwear. And the doorman, he's a serial killer to me because he had shark eyes and he was pale, and he's like, I'm so sorry, but I wanted to feel a woman's touch.
It's been so lonely since.
On me.
And then he goes, like, it's been so lonely. Which, Immediately, I was like, all right, if Tommy doesn't come back later in the show, I'm going to be sad.
I'm okay with Tommy being gone because it's so funny because Charlotte's like talking to the drummer. She's like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom and we're never going to talk this about
when I
this
leave,
again.
when I get out of the bathroom, you're not going to be here. And she goes, and the fucking doorman says, here, let me get that for you, and opens the bathroom door for her.
Which is Michael Patrick King. My hat is off to you.
That's
that
gold.
one was
That is gold.
fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm. When you and me are in the writer's room, I don't think we're going to let anybody tell us no unless it's Michael Patrick King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, people out here trying to be the rulers of the world, but they're only Michael Patrick princes. Nah,
He's the Patrick King. I can't speak.
Thank God you screwed that up because what I said should be deleted.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna leave it in,
but like, delete it from your brain, please.
Yeah, I think once again, I shouldn't be allowed to have kids for what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
It
why
should
I
be
shit
illegal.
on your kitchen floor.
Well, my son asked you to as well.
Yeah, but like, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have my own motivations too.
Oh, so you're like a three-dimensional character,
Mm-hmm.
unlike Charlotte.
I'm not a Tommy over here who just wants to feel the touch of a woman.
I'm Tommy, but it's like I want to feel the touch of the shit that you left on my kitchen, on my skin.
So it's been about 30 minutes. I think that wraps us up for the discussions of the episode, which brings us into the Virgin segment. This is the segment of the show where... Go ahead, do a little song.
I was going...
No, make a theme. Okay, cool.
Welcome to the Virgin Zone. We've never had sex.
Virgin. Yeah. This is the segment of the show where me and Alex, we each talk about things that are not related to Sex and the City, but are related in some form or fashion to virgins and virgin culture.
Just
Not
kinda us.
culture.
Just
Just
kinda
kind of
us.
us. Because the thing I'm going to bring, because I know Alex and I have talked before the podcast, and he has a thing that I think is going to eat up most of our time. So I just wanted to do a
I
little
apologize for that.
quick story about something that I feel like is not necessarily like virgins and the things of like, like last week I talked about Magic the Gathering and things like that. This is a little story about yesterday I was shopping at HEB. A little shout out to HEB. Thanks for having food.
Grocery store.
Yeah, there's a grocery store for us people that don't know what an HEB is. And I was walking around the store getting some stuff for dinners that I wanted to make throughout the week, and I couldn't find the bread. I literally was walking through the store multiple times. Like I spent like a good like solid hour and a half in the store, and I kept walking by like the bakery aisle.
Wait a fucking second. We talked about this before a little bit about how, but all you said was you couldn't find the bread aisle.
Yeah, so I kept.
You were there for there for the full length of the
okay.
movie Rio, and you couldn't find the bread.
I wasn't explicitly looking for the bread aisle the whole time. First of all, HEB was packed, so I was a little bit stressed there, and I was walking around. I'm a meandery grocery shopper.
Okay.
I like to meander. I like to take my time in finding stuff. And I was looking for the bread, and I kept walking through the store. This is my last thing, and I keep walking through the store, and I keep walking by the bakery aisle. I'm like, I don't want bakery bread. I want like bagels, because like I don't want those tortillas, because those tortillas are too small. I like the big tortillas. It really got to a point. I almost called like one of my friends who I know goes to that HEB a lot. I almost called her and was like, hey, can you tell me where in this goddamn store the bread is? Because I can't find it.
Actually, Hayden, I think. Listen, I saw the news reports about, and I didn't want it to be you. I really wanted to believe that it wasn't you. But you didn't call your friend. You actually called the fire department 6 times over.
I figured they would know better than my friend, right?
You took emergency responders away from people who needed it because you couldn't find.
Because I couldn't find the bread, yeah. And I needed. Look, okay. The first firefighters got there, And I was like, where's the bread? And they were like, we don't know, man. So I had to call it again. And that happened 5 times until the 6 firefighters came in. And they were like, oh, the bread, it's right there. It was literally the second aisle in the goddamn store. So that's why it took so many firefighters, right? All right? What do they got better to do? Oh, fight fires? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fires aren't real. Anyway, Alex, what do you bring into the Virgin segment today?
So I'm actually bringing 2 things. The first thing is a joke that I didn't make while you were talking, but I wanted to. Hayden, do you know my name? I think it's important to the joke that you know my name.
Your name is Alex.
Yeah, do you know my full name? You know my full name? You know my
I
full
don't
name?
want to say it because
Okay.
I feel like it's Alex Pittner.
Well, you said that you were a meandering shopper. I'm a me-Alexandering shopper.
So that we're done. This podcast is never getting uploaded.
No.
And I don't think I can talk to you until the next 10 years when I ask you to fuck my wife.
But yeah. Yeah, when you shit in my kitchen, there was no dialogue. We just kind of stared at each other with like an intimate understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was your other thing?
I think I'm gonna make a lot of enemies saying this.
Yeah, you already have.
Yeah, and I think in you.
Yeah.
There's a show. It's not just a show. It's an anime. It's a manga that is very dear to me.
Very dear to a lot of people.
Very dear to a lot of people. I have not finished. Like, I'm not current. All right. I've seen all of the anime, and I started reading the manga recently. A little story called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
If you're not concurrent on the anime, there are probably going to be some spoilers here for JoJo Part 5.
Yes. So, with that said, I think it might be better if you're looking forward to Part 5 to listen to me talk about it, just so that you're let down easy by some of the... I'll say it. I think that Part 5, I hated it. I am at a loss for words on why people like it. Don't get me wrong. I think the animation is great. I think the music is great. I think the performances are great. But I think the plot, it has the best JoJo plot. Fucking Dio's kid rising the ranks in organized crime. That is the greatest fucking thing. And I think the character designs are off the charts amazing. Giorno has my favorite character design of any JoJo. But I think that the execution is so unbelievably bad.
See, I'm a huge fan of Part 5, and I do want to know what makes you hate it. Because I feel like just the other week before you finished it, we were both kind of talking about like how great Part 5 was so far. Or how good Part 5 was so far.
I was focusing on the things that I liked.
Okay.
And honestly, a lot of that was coming from me truly hoping and truly thinking that it was going to get better. That things were going to happen. I have a poorly written list. The first thing is this. Dio is my favorite character in the franchise of JoJo's.
Okay.
Dio is such a good villain. Just a fucking, like, Palpatine style. They're evil and they fucking love it. And his character design is cool. His voice actor, both dub and sub, I think does a fantastic job. And the fact that Giorno is Dio's son is not relevant at all. Now, I don't think that that's something that hurts the series, but it is something that I really wanted. And I feel like that never came into play. I think Giorno could have just been any other Joe. Oh, any other average Joe. Joe, get it? Because JoJo's. Yeah.
I have opinions. I want to keep you talking, but I think
Okay.
I think I have to disagree with that in a long-term sense of not explicitly being stated in the show. Of course, it's I think they probably could have brought it up in the midst of the show.
I have a rewrite, by the way, that makes it awesome.
Okay, but I think it is important because first of all, it makes him a Joe star, right? You can't have it without being a Joe star.
Well, yeah, I
And-
understand that.
I don't know. Okay. Continue. I don't want to stop our conversation.
I also think that Giorno is the most boring character maybe in all of JoJo's. I feel like the reason why I was holding out on liking Giorno is one, because I want to like him because, again, love his character design, and I fucking, again, he's Dio's kid. I feel like his only character trait was calm and collected. Right? Do you feel me? I feel like he was only calm, you can argue he cares about kids. He bought the kids ice cream at the beginning, and he wants to take over the organization so they stop selling drugs to kids. Let me tell you something. Your average person, if you ask, do you want 12-year-olds to do heroin? They're probably gonna go, right? So I feel like that makes him just an average person, and I feel like with all of this crazy shit going down, I feel like he barely shows emotion, especially because I thought Giorno was very upsetting and the biggest disappointment of a character. And I think that, honestly, I feel like Mista is okay. I think all the characters, for the most part, are pretty boring. I think Mista is okay. I think Narancia is fantastic. I think Narancia is a amazing JoJo character, and truly what got me through this part is how much I liked Narancia. Right? I think Mista's fine.
I love Mista.
And that's okay. I feel bad, but I was so disappointed. Another thing is that, and again, super spoilers here, midway through the show, so the plot of this is that, I have so many thoughts. I apologize for not being as organized. So midway through the show, basically the plot of it is that Giorno joins a little crew of gangsters, and that crew of gangsters wants to take over the organization, so they're betraying, like, they call him the boss, most of the time. At the midpoint of the series-ish, they like pseudo meet the boss. I don't see his face, but they encounter him. And it becomes a thing where it's like the crew has to choose their side. Are you going to side with Bruno, who's the leader of their little ragtag group, and continue to betray the boss? Or are you going to stay siding with the boss? And all of
they have a girl that they're that basically if they leave this island with Bruno, they're betraying the organization.
Yes. And so what happens is all of them leave, or go with Bruno, I should say, except for one character named Fugo. And let me tell you, I was so hyped when this happened. And I think part of the reason why when we were talking about it, why I was talking about it good, is because I believed that was going to come around in a major way that was going to break my heart. Because I feel like the relationships, I wish they were more well established, just personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the one that was really there was Fugo and Narancia.
Yeah.
Fugo's trying to teach Narancia. It's beautiful. They get frustrated with each other, but at the end of the day, they're on each other's team. They're friends. And I think that's like maybe the only relationship in the crew that's done justice, which, again, feel free to disagree with me. And so when Fugo leaves, I was like, I was so confident that the end of the story was going to be the boss and Fugo versus the crew. And I think I was so, because one, Fugo has a stand that is extremely powerful. It can borderline instant kill. And I was so excited to get my heartstrings ripped apart when that relationship has to clash, But what happens is once they leave Fugo on the island, he's just not in it. He's just not in the story anymore, except for one little part when, spoilers again, Narancia dies. Right?
Yeah.
Which, now that we're talking about Narancia's death, I want to say this. There's a character named Abakio who's part of the crew. When Abakio dies, I will say this, that moment is handled beautifully. Like, me not liking the part as a whole, the part where Abakio dies is handled in an amazing fashion. It's sudden, it's quick, it's cool, and the actor who plays Narancia, it's incredible.
Kills it. Voice acting wise, kills it.
He sounds like he is bawling in the booth. It is incredible. And that was just so heavy. And I think it was executed well because you kind of see the reactions of the crew,
Yeah.
right? I wish we got to dive a little deeper into there, but Narancia feels it the most. Like, yeah, and I think it's good. When Narancia dies, because Narancia is like the heart of the show, there is like, I know they don't really have time to react, but it seems like they barely fucking react at all.
Yeah.
It seems like they're just like, oh, Narancia's fucking dead. And I'm like, he's the most beloved character here. Another thing, I felt like the villain was rushed. I think that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde relationship between Doppio and Diavolo is cool. And I feel like the villain joined a little late in the game, which made me sad.
I don't know. I feel like there's because Doppio gets a whole 2 episodes, like he gets a whole fight, like a whole mini arc to really establish him, and they pay it off well with like when Doppio dies, because his soul is split and goes into the different bodies, and Doppio is left to die, and I feel like there's a really good like I feel like it's handled well.
I wanted that to be handled better. That was one of the things.
We only have so much
I
time.
wanted that. Well, I get this. If you want it, email us at an email. And I will give Alex's full rewrite, and it'll take like 15 minutes. But I think that again, here's the thing. I feel like when I think something is bad, I never want to be, and I actively try so hard not to be the guy who says I could probably do it better.
Okay.
Because that's one of the things is it's like when when someone complains about something, it's like, okay, you do it, and it's like I can't, right? This is like one of the few situations in my entire life where I feel like I had better ideas to bring to the table, and I feel like such a dick and a douchebag saying that, and I have no right to lick the mud and shit off of Araki's boots, but I feel like some of these things were just not handled well. One more big thing.
Yeah.
For half of the show, just about, Bruno Bucciardi, and I'm going to call him, I know his name is Bucciarati, but I'm going to call him Bruno just because for some reason in my head that's what I call him. He gets killed halfway through, and Giorno tries to heal him, and in doing so, he basically becomes like a walking corpse. Giorno has the ability to like give life to things, so he gives life to people to like heal them. And it's actually, I actually think that was a cool upgrade. I thought that was a great addition to his ability. Also, side thing, not going to go fully down this avenue. I feel like Giorno has a really cool stand, and I wanted to see it in action more. Back to Alex Road. He heals a dead Bruno, like right after he dies. And Bruno is able to fight with him, utilize his stand, do all these things as a walking corpse for like days.
Yeah.
He does the same shit to Narancia and it doesn't work. And I feel like there's probably something going on, especially with all the mind splitting, that I don't understand.
The explanation I remember it being is Bruno's soul was still hanging onto his body. Narancia's soul was already gone.
Okay, that's fair.
Because what happened is Narancia died while Giorno was in Narancia's body, because they do a whole body swapping thing. And so the soul is not in the body, which is why it doesn't work. Also,
that
Bruno
checks out.
is also it's not just that, it's Bruno's fighting spirit kept him alive
Yeah,
too.
he does have more. I believe their whole thing is like resolution.
Yeah.
Or resolve.
Yeah.
Excuse me. My resolve is greater than yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also felt like Bruno also seemed like somewhat, he had better than Giorno, and I like Bruno, but I also feel like he seemed very cool, calm, and collected most of the time.
I get that. I think calling attention to the fact that I feel like Bruno and Giorno have very similar personalities is very fair. I think you've made a lot of very fair arguments, right? I think there's an element of like, I don't hate it because it's not like, in all honesty, when I watch JoJo, I am not expecting like a master class in storytelling and what like I agree. I agree that Fugo could have come back later in the part. I don't know if you know this, but he does have his own side story. He has a whole
Okay, that's
he has a
that's
whole
fair. I was
Purple
not aware of
Haze
that.
feedback is what it's called, and it's its own side story. I haven't read it, but
I was not aware of
it's
that.
got an OVA, I think, and so he does come back, and I agree there are things that could be done, but like really what makes me love part 5 is like I love the group that isn't like Giorno, like Mista and Narancha and Abakio. Like I feel like they are good characters.
I think that Mista, or not Mista, Narancha is fantastic. I think Mista pretty good, and I think Abakio is all right. And I think those are the characters that stand out to me because in the group they're the characters that show emotion.
Yeah,
I probably would say the same for Fugo if he didn't leave halfway through.
yeah.
Obviously the back half is what's fresher on my mind, you know.
I honestly feel like when I watch JoJo, I'm not going there expecting. I'm not saying like you're wrong for doing this because I think you
Yeah.
should expect, but like from my expertise, from what I know of JoJo is like I'm going in there. I'm not expecting like fully realized, super in-depth characters, right?
Yeah.
Like the parts are too short to have that, right?
Mhm.
Like I feel like if part 5 was the whole story, you would get what you want, right? You would get the more in-depth, really big character
yeah,
moments.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But because JoJo is broken up in a way where the stories are told in parts, that giving all of that depth and still making it, because it is a monster of the week type show, right?
Yeah, which I'm cool with. I want to say
Yeah.
for the record.
I don't like, yeah. You've been saying hate like hate part 5 and
Yeah, here's the thing. When I talk about things, I tend to talk about things in a very exaggerated way, just because I think like part of who I am is I feel like emotions to a very high degree. That's why
Yeah,
that's
of
why your
course.
boy is on meds, you know.
of course.
But here's the thing: is I try to be fair.
Yeah.
Like just because I don't like it doesn't mean I can't be like, oh well, Bakio's deck was great, or like you said with the souls were switched, so his soul was never like
Mhm.
clarifying that for me. I can be like, oh, that makes sense. That
Yeah,
works.
Of course.
Type deal. So I'm trying to be fair. I just I think a lot of it does come from I think one of my biggest thing is I wanted the characters to be more fleshed out, show more emotion. And I know it's short, but at the same time, I think part 4 is the same amount of episodes. And I feel like I feel like the fucking Josuke, I feel like an idiot for not remembering the other twos. No, Koichi and Okuyasu were like, they were so fun. And part 2 has like way less episodes. And I think that Joseph is one of the best characters in anime. Or one of my favorite. I should not say one of the best, but one of my favorite.
Let me bring up one more counterpoint, right?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Part 2, Joseph and Caesar Zeppeli are the two main characters.
Okay.
Part 4, Josuke, Okuyasu, and Koichi are the main characters. Part 5 has
you got a crew.
Bruno, Mista, Abakio, Narancha, Giorno, Fugo,
and then Trish.
That is 7 characters that like they wanted to give equal screen time to all of them, and so they couldn't. I'm not trying to excuse it because I think you have very valid criticisms, and I'm not wanting to discount what you're saying. I'm just wanting to give a defense of yes, I agree with you. I think there are these plenty of expectations that should have been met, things that should have come back around, and things that should have been focused on more. But I personally don't necessarily hold it to the show because I still think you said like, I believe you said part 5 had one of like I love it because of its story, right? Like not like I love the storyline, right?
When I say that, what I mean is the elevator pitch for it.
Yeah,
is the best elevator pitch of any JoJo, in my opinion, easily.
of course.
But I think the execution is very awful. A big problem that I have is that in the span of a week, Jorno goes from bumfuck nobody to the leader of the biggest crime organization in Italy.
Yeah.
There's an SNL
He's
sketch.
also 15.
There's an SNL sketch, which is another thing that I think that they could have dove into a little bit. Is he's seeing these people die in front of him, and he's 15 years old. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Giorno is probably the one of the weaker parts of part 5.
I agree.
I agree.
But there's an SNL sketch straight up called "The Game" about what happens when a rookie tries to take over a crime organization, and guess what? It's probably not gonna go. I know, it has to. I mean, his stand is fucking super strong.
Yeah, I also love Requiem Stan. I feel like the again, I like JoJo because sometimes I just like to see the cool fights.
Yeah,
and I feel like part 5 has some of the best fights.
I will say part 5 has some enjoyable fights. The one, Mista and Jorno versus the Ice Guy is so fun. I think that's really great.
We have been talking about this for way too long. Our Virgin segment is usually 15 minutes. We've been talking about this for I think almost 30 minutes.
Well, guys.
So I think we should go ahead and bring this episode of Virgins in the Village to a close.
Great. I would like to conclude it with one thing. Today was Alex's opinions on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Part 1. Next week, it's Part 2.
We'll probably.
I'm going to say the full rewrite just because I'm a little cuck. And I think it's just part of, I like to live in this what-if scenario. And I think there's some things that you could be like, that would have been really cool. And
yeah, maybe the Virgin segment isn't exactly the right place for this, but maybe we will talk about.
It should be during the episode talk.
Maybe.
Yeah, because, wait, Miranda Mista?
What? Sex and the City is a JoJo spinoff that is now canon.
Technically, they could be happening concurrently. Right?
No.
How so?
If part 4 takes place in 1999, part 5 takes place in the years after that, like early 2000s, late 2000s. The show is set in the late 90s.
Well, then part 4 is kind of
Part 4 could be concurrent.
Yeah.
So if Charlotte doesn't get a stand, we are going to riot.
Y'all better. I'm gonna tell you right now. In my episode, Charlotte does not get a stand, but she gets something arguably better.
Well, we'll look forward to that, won't we, Alex?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out to listen to this undeniably longer than usual episode of Virgins of the Village.
If you want to follow Hayden on social media, you can do so at
Greygok, GREYGOK. But hopefully, by the time this is going out, our social medias and everything will be set up, because guess what, guys? This episode and the last 2 episodes are probably all getting uploaded on the same day. On the same day. So we'll have those social media set up then. Our YouTube, our whatever spot or whatever podcast network you're listening to this on. If you're listening to it on a podcast network, everything will be down in the descriptions below, where you can find us, where you can check us out, more of our work. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.
We have a D&D show.
We do have a D&D show, Just Quest, on Sundays.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Central Time.
So, thank you, everybody.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
You shit in my kitchen?